Welcome to GCE-US's July 2024 Coalition Meeting. We're so excited to have you. Ngazi, whenever you're ready, feel free to kick us off today.
All right, let's do it. So welcome, everybody. Welcome to the GCE-US 2024 July Coalition Meeting hosted by the Global Campaign for Education US. My name is Ngazi Lawal, and I am the Interim Executive Director at GCE-US. We'd like to ask everybody to please introduce yourself in the Zoom chat box with your name, organizational affiliate, and your location. For today's event, we have closed captioning, and that's available in English. So to turn that on, please select CC at the bottom of your Zoom screen. If you don't see it immediately, just hover your mouse at the bottom of the screen. You should see an option that says More, or perhaps 3 dots. And when you click there, you'll see the option for closed captioning. In the chat, we are sharing links and resources, inviting you to please join us in taking action to advance equality and inclusive education for all. For participants in the US and with networks and colleagues in the US, please reach out today to urge your members of Congress to fund global education and reauthorize the READ Act fully. Throughout today's session, we want to have as much interaction with you all as possible, and we want to invite you to pose questions and comments in the Zoom chat box. Today's event will feature incredible speakers, followed by a discussion and a Q&A session. Before we begin today's coalition call, I would like to introduce GCE-US's new team of summer interns. I would like to pass it to Natalie Snelson to introduce herself. And then after Natalie, Divine, if you could go next. And then after Divine, Rachel. And then after Rachel, Genevieve. So Natalie, if you can introduce yourself, please.
Great, thank you, Ngazi. Hi, everyone. My name is Natalie Snelson. It's so wonderful to see you all. I'm a recent graduate of the George Washington University studying international affairs and French. And I'm so excited to see you all and champion education for all. So I will pass it to Divine.
Thank you, Natalie. Hi, everyone. It's so good to see you all today. I'm super excited for this. My name is Divine Irakoze. I'm a student. I'm currently studying international studies and global affairs at Brigham Young University. It's based in Idaho for some of you that are in the US. And yeah, I'm so excited. And I'll pass it to, was it Rachel?
Good morning, everybody. I'm super excited to be here. My name is Rachel Luco, and I just finished up my first year at the University of Michigan studying political science. Really looking forward to the call today and hearing from all our amazing speakers. And Genevieve.
Hi, everyone. My name is Genevieve Manise. I'm a rising junior at GW, George Washington University, studying international affairs, and I'm super excited to be joining the call today and hearing from all our speakers. And I'll pass it back to Ngazi.
All right, I think we got everybody. Just pausing to see if we missed anyone. All right, I think we're good to go. Well, thank you to our amazing team of interns. We are so excited to have you all on our GCE-US team. Without further ado, we are delighted to welcome Hadjer Neggaz and Karla Yoder from World Learning. Karla Yoder is a senior youth workforce specialist at World Learning, providing technical leadership to the youth workforce and entrepreneurship program portfolio. She has over 20 years of experience designing, supporting, and researching workforce and economic development programs in both developing economies and the United States. Her areas of expertise include demand-driven training and education, youth employment, school-to-work transition, small and medium enterprise development, and access to finance. She holds a master's degree in sociology from the George Washington University and a bachelor's degree in international studies from the School for International Training. Hadjer Neggaz is a senior employment specialist at World Learning Algeria. She's an architect and urban planner specializing in sustainable development issues, migration, and climate change. Hadjer has been a social activist since 2012. Her fields of expertise are youth capacity development, civic engagement, women's empowerment, and entrepreneurship. In her career, she has trained more than 300 trainers in soft skills and more than 500 youth in career planning, sustainable development, advocacy, and entrepreneurship. Karla and Hadjer, we are honored to welcome you both to speak with us today.
Thank you so much for that introduction, and thank you to all of you for inviting World Learning to share some of our work on youth engagement and youth voice today. We have a very long-standing presence in Algeria, where we manage a variety of education programs to prepare young people to succeed in the world of work. And those include English, civic engagement, social entrepreneurship programs that are focused on at-risk high school students, career development programs for youth who are at technical and vocational training institutions, and then STEM education for both students and young people and their teachers. And in all of those programs, we use experiential learning approaches and universal design for learning principles to make sure that they are engaging and that youth are developing their voice and their leadership while they're getting other skills, while they're participating. And my colleague Hadjer is going to talk today about a program called 21 Free, that with the goal of developing 21st century skills and financial literacy among thousands of youth across Algeria. And often in a skills development program, we implementers take the approach of finding educational institutions, CSOs that we're going to support to provide the training to youth. And for this program, we took a very different approach from the beginning, putting youth engagement and leadership at the core of the program design, the core of the way we wanted to do this. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Hadjer.
Thank you so much, Karla. Thank you, Ngozi, for the introduction. Give me a second just to share my screen. Okay. Is it shared? Good. Okay. Okay, so like Karla just said, I will talk a little bit in details about a project called 21 Free. Before getting deep into the project, I want you all to meet Abir. So Abir is 24 years old. She's a public health nurse by night, and she's an engineer student in the morning. Abir is from Galma, a state in the northeast of Algeria. Algeria is the largest country in Africa with 58 states in the country. So Abir is from Galma, and she traveled to another state called Annaba to participate in one of our training of trainers. So just to open brackets to talk more about this outreach to this program. So usually we contact partners either to host the training or to recommend trainers. Then we train the trainers in 21st century skills or financial literacy. Then the trainers will train 13 hours in those skills. 21st century skills and financial literacy for free. After training 50 participants, they get certified. So to get into details more about this training of trainers, it was 4 days. The first day, we start with get to know you activities. We try to make sure they understand one of our approach used experiential learning cycle, ELC. We do a lot of examples and teaching them how they can learn about teaching and learning styles of their students or participants. Then we close the day by a reflection. So to give you a small resume about the experiential learning cycle, it's usually an activity that we do with the participants by doing, it's an island. They do a fun activity just to understand this cycle. But to make the long story short, the phases are being present in the experience, description of the experience, then analysis of the experience, and finally the experimentation. So we took this approach and apply it also in our training of trainers. So we focus on the day 2 and day 3 on the training that the trainers will train their participants after. So it's the content of 21st century skills and financial literacy curricula that they will train the 50 participants later. So to get more in details about the content of these trainings, for financial literacy is 13 hours training that start with a pre-assessment and of course end with a post-assessment. We do an introduction in financial literacy. We have several modules about money and emotions, personal budgeting, money management rules, financial goal setting, personal financial decisions, and we end with emergency fund. In this 13 hours course, we focus on many skills. Some of the skills are in the box below: budgeting skills, emotional intelligence, planning, analytical skills, and other more. For the second training, which is the 21st century skills, or the 4 Cs, is also 13 hours training that started with an introduction in 21st century skills. They learn all the 12 21st century skills. Of course, before that, we do a pre-assessment. Then we do communication, collaboration, creativity, critical thinking, and we end with them proposing a project and planning for the budget. We end also with a post-assessment to measure their learning. So some of the skills they gain at the end of this training: effective communication, critical thinking, team building, and so more. So the last day, which is the reflection of the first day, the ELC, the experiential learning cycle, they talk a lot about how they learned. They share a lot about their experience as participants and what they are expecting for their participant to feel after. Then we do a best practices. So we have a manual at Word Learning, and we distribute this best practices. After that, we help them to plan their trainings. Usually they have 4 to 5 trainings to train these 50 participants, and we end the 4 days with the feedback. So Abir, she participated in both training in 21st century skills and financial literacy. She trained 120 trainees in 21st century skills and another 120 trainees in financial literacy. We have a lot of trainers all over Algeria. We have trained 713 trainers in both trainings all over Algeria. They all trained more than 24,000 in 42 states. So our engaged trainers actually didn't limit themselves to just training, they wanted more. So we created, or we organized, a virtual championship where the objectives were to build a strong platform of trainers across Algeria to share their stories. It was a platform to share the impact and empower you through trainings, and also inspire you to express their potential. So we had a lot of webinars in different themes related to financial resilience. with over 400 participants. They also shared on social media more than 2,900 posts using the hashtag 21free, and you can check it on different platforms on social media. They organized several extra activities like gaming together online, like doing iftar because it was in Ramadan together, doing a lot of online activities and in-person activities. So from this number, 24,544 youth trained, 79% had developed had improved their personal financial skills, and 72% developed their soft skills. So they didn't limit themselves to just developing their skills. We received a lot of messages and comments about what they are doing now and how they found jobs. They are buying some personal items like laptop, jewelries, etc. So, for example, for Abir, she created her network in her local community. She also organized and trained a lot of workshops to nursing students. She was a coordinator in a European program called Saphir for Entrepreneurs. And also she did the training of STEM, which is another program of word learning. So in conclusion, our methodology practically through the experiential learning cycle has proven instrumental in our training programs by allowing trainers to experience firsthand what the participant would encounter. It encouraged a deep sense of empathy, which in turn led to greater engagement throughout the program. The tools we provided, such best practices and insights into various teaching and learning styles, along with placing trust in our trainers to deliver these trainings within their local communities, provided them with the necessary expertise. This dual foundation of empathy and expertise translated into engagement and empowerment has not only captivated local participants, but also inspired them to raise their voices and drive positive change within their communities. And thank you for listening to me. I can pass now to Ngozi if they have questions, or maybe at the end.
Hi, Hadjer. Thank you so much for your kind remarks and for sharing your wonderful work with us. We'll be doing a question and Q&A session at the end of today's call. And Hadjer, if you're comfortable, we can also share your email address with the group in case anyone wants to reach out with individual questions. Again, thank you so much for sharing today. Next, we'd like to introduce Nurah Jimoh. Nurah Jimoh is a dynamic legal professional deeply committed to youth development and human rights advocacy. With a strong academic background, she holds an LLB degree from the University of Ilorin, Nigeria, currently pursuing her LLM at the University of Ibadan, Nigeria, and an alumnus of the Lagos Business School. As the executive director of Brain Builders Youth Development Initiative, Nurah Jimoh has been instrumental in empowering young people through digital skills training and promoting inclusivity for marginalized communities. Her dedication to creating positive change has led to successful implementation of various initiatives aimed at equipping youth with digital literacy. Through her leadership and her unwavering commitment to youth development and human rights advocacy, Nurah remains an influential force as she continues to inspire young minds to embrace digital innovation, make informed decisions, and become effective change makers in their communities. Welcome, Nurah. I'll pass it over to you.
Hi, thank you for that introduction. It's an honor to be here this afternoon or morning, wherever you are. Thank you. I think my slide can come up now. Before then, just a brief introduction about Brain Builders Development Initiative, where I currently serve as the Executive Director and what we do at Brain Builders Development Initiative. At Brain Builders Development Initiative, with the acronym as BBYDI, it is a not-for-profit civic organization that is dedicated to fostering socio-political change and community development. And the primary focus of the organization is on equipping and empowering young people and local communities to drive sustainable development from the grassroots level. And it is worthy of mention that all our projects and activities are research-based and data-driven. So now I'm going to the focus of today's presentation and my topic, which is fostering socio-political change and community development in Nigeria. I believe you all will agree with me that a nation like Nigeria that is rich in diversity and potential, that the journey when it comes to achieving socio-political change and community development is a challenge and as well as an opportunity. And we believe it's a challenge because of the diverse nature. And we believe with this diverse nature comes a plethora of socioeconomic problems like access to quality education, political instability, youth unemployment, and many more. And equally, at Brain Builders Development Initiative, we understand how important community development is when it comes to nation building. And we see it as the foundation of economic development, which brings from empowering people to exercise their rights, to improve access to resources, to strengthen the capacity of local institutions. And now the main purpose of this 10 to 15-minute discussion today is to inspire collective action through the activities of Brain Builders Development Initiative in fostering socio-political change and community development, and also to provide actionable strategies for fostering change within our immediate society. Now, I'll quickly move to the next slide, which has to do with contributions of Brain Builders Development Initiative to socio-political change and community development in Nigeria. Like, these are activities of what we've been doing to enhance socio-political change and community development in Nigeria. First, we look at education. You can move to the next slide, please. On education at Brain Builders Development Initiative, we believe that education, we see education as the core of our mission, and we always strive to provide quality education opportunities for all. And because we see education as a cornerstone to any change in a society, so we prioritize education activities as we believe that it is a tool for increased access to quality and relevant learning in Nigeria. And what we have done around education over the years, firstly, we have the EdTech project. For this EdTech project, it basically aims to promote digital literacy and as well utilize technology in order to broaden education access to Nigerians. On this project, this project also involves advocating and integrating the use of artificial intelligence in order to enhance the quality and reach of education among Nigerians. And on this, we've engaged over 300 stakeholders across 20 states in Nigeria to our EdTech nationwide advocacy, and we've recorded notable success, and among which is the adoption of QuireLearn, which simply means learning, education, achievement, and reform now in majority of the local government areas in Kwara State, Nigeria. And we've also launched issue brief, policy brief, and fact check around EdTech in Nigeria. Also on education, we also have this annual Teen Speak Out event. This Teen Speak Out event is like an annual academic competition, which has been run for the past 10 years for secondary school students in Nigeria. And it is designed specifically in order to empower teenagers with communication, advocacy, and public speaking skills. And the aim of this Teen Speak Out event is to instill moral values in our teenagers and also to foster a spirit of LG competition among them. Currently, the competition is now at a stage wherein it is the past winners of this competition, who are mostly undergraduate and graduate of higher institutions of learning, that now coordinate these annual events. And we believe that this shows the transformative power of the program as a breathing space for young persons to grow. We also have our annual International Youth Day, which is everybody knows about the International Youth Day, but we embedded education into our annual celebration of IYD, which is, it's an annual program where youth in all phases of life within and beyond Nigeria has discussed and advanced the course of sustainable education and prepare workable solutions. And every year, the area of this course is dependent on the central theme across the whole world and we've had conversation around agriculture, technology, and many more. Now, we understand in order to foster from the topic in fostering social political change and community development, as an organization, we understand the importance of carrying grassroots community along in any educational activities for inclusivity's sake. This is why we have this talking pen technology, which facilitate translation between English and the local languages in Nigeria and vice versa. This ensures accessibility and inclusivity, thereby bridging the gap of language barriers in terms of learning in Nigeria. Now, we know that there is no way we can discuss about the socio-political, there's no way we can discuss about fostering socio-political changes without delving into civic engagement. And as an organization, which understand the significance of active civic engagement in order to foster socio-political change in society. And as we have, thank you, we leverage on data and technology, as been mentioned earlier, to inform any decision or initiative we do at the organization, basically to empower youth in order to participate peacefully in democratic processes, advocate for their rights, and hold leaders accountable. This we have been able to achieve through policy advocacy, workshops, advocacy campaigns, and community dialogues. And some of the activities we've had include the Space for Her Fellowship. For this Space for Her Fellowship, it is a 6-month training program for aspiring female political leaders in Nigeria in order to empower them on leadership development, to sharpening their political savviness, political communication, and many more. And for this fellowship program, we've recorded remarkable success, and one of which is that one of the fellow of the 6-month fellowship Space for Her program, and who is equally a graduate, now holds a seat at the State House of Assembly in Kwara State, Nigeria. So that is one of the success recorded for the Space for Her Fellowship. We also have the Why Vote Nigeria. Why Vote Nigeria is basically seek out to advocate for an increased voters' participation and accessibility of voting process to everyone in Nigeria, through inspiring a culture of voting among young Nigerians, protection of citizens against electoral violence, and as well demanding for the review of the electoral laws in order for it to be more inclusive, encouraging, and for more citizen participations in election. Then we also have our Youth Gov Tracker, which basically aims in order to improve accountability of elected officials by tracking campaigns, promises, and performance of youth-inclusive policies. Through this project, we have empowered citizens through training and resources, and we've trained more than 36 youth vocal points across the 36 states of the country on advocacy, data analysis, and civic engagement. Now, to call to action, that is next slide, please. To call to action, we have to look into individual responsibility, because we believe that there is need for everyone to be on deck when it comes in order for us to foster social political change and community development wherever we are. There is need for everyone to take individual responsibility towards fostering social political change in our immediate environment. Secondly, we believe that mobilizing collective action, in mobilizing collective action, we believe this should be greatly encouraged, as people should be really keen in joining ongoing projects and movements for an improved community, as it is said that there is strength in unity. Then the last point, which is a further explanation to the second point, is on collaboration and partnership in order to scale engagement projects within our society. So on this, I would like to conclude that the change you want, the change we seek, starts from us all. There is need for us to come together and work as one in order to foster social political change and community development within our immediate environment. Thank you for your attention, and thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Nurah, for sharing your wonderful work with us. I know you have to hop off, so if anyone has any questions for Nurah, I'd like to take a minute or two. Please feel free to drop it in the chat box or unmute yourself very briefly. And Nurah as well, if you have an email that you could share with us, please feel free to share that in the chat. And if anyone has any additional questions, they can forward it your way.
Yeah, that is fine. That's fine. I will share. I'll put my email address in the chat box. Yeah, thank you.
Great. Awesome. Thank you. Okay. If there's no questions for now, please feel free to direct them to Nurah once she drops them in the chat box, her email. But next, we'd like to go ahead and introduce Arissa Roy. Arissa Roy is an Indo-Canadian youth activist, children's book author, and student. She founded Project Power Global, an international organization that advocates for global education equity and leads a team of youth working in grassroots, policy, and community impact projects. She is a 2023 recipient of the esteemed Diana Award and has been featured by the Malala Fund, CBC, Toronto Star, Global News, United Nations Girls Education Initiative, and UNESCO. In addition, Arissa has worked with several organizations, including Plan International Canada, Unsinkable, the Canadian Partnership for Women and Children in Health, and Fridays for the Future to champion social justice, mental health awareness, and climate action. Her work has impacted over 50,000 people worldwide, and Arissa's innovative and collaborative approach to problem solving has made her a young leader in the United Nations SDG 4 space, guarding her a position in the SDG 4 Youth and Student Network. Currently, Arissa is finishing high school in Italy at the United World College of the Adriatic, one of 18 schools in a global education movement to bring together students from all over the world to foster peace and a sustainable future. Welcome, Arissa. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Natalie, for that lovely introduction. I'm just gonna check if I can share my screen. I think I'm not co-host anymore, so if someone could give me that permission, that would be great. Yeah, but in the meantime, it's quite an honor to be here. I'm joining you from Montreal, Canada. I am originally from Toronto, Canada. And I just like to always start my presentations by acknowledging the land that I'm on as territory of several Indigenous peoples, communities, and groups. And I'm really privileged to be living, working, and also enjoying everyday life on this land. And I think that it's important for us to always consider how our current lives and privilege has come at the expense of many communities. So I encourage everyone to take a moment to acknowledge the land that you might be on as well. Okay, I see that I'm co-host now. Thank you. So thank you again for that lovely introduction. Today I wanted to share a little bit about my story. Hold on, I'm just going to present. Okay, share a little about my story. And I think that if I were to pick one sort of, idea or abstract like concept that really represents my journey, it would be the ripple effect. And that's kind of where I want to center my presentation today. So the title is The Ripple Effect of Change, and you'll see how it kind of evolves through the next few slides. So I'm just gonna quickly scroll. So yeah, as was already mentioned, I'm the founder of Project Power Global, which is an international organization now that advocates for education equity. And we do that through several different projects, collaborations especially, such as with organizations like Plan International and Unsinkable Youth and Fridays for Future, which many of you may be aware of. But I think it's really important as well to kind of talk about the journey, because I know that all of us here, if you're on this call, are probably change makers, have done several projects in this space as well. So here's a little bit about my story. So when I was 12 years old, I went on my very first trip to India. My family, I am Indo-Canadian, so my family's from India. And growing up in Canada, I am and was always very sheltered from kind of the issues that my relatives were facing on the other side of the world and that my grandparents grew up in. And going to India for the first time kind of opened my eyes to the many different issues that that impact education through different like cycles, which I'll also talk about in a moment. And yeah, I was struck, like this me being 12, who, you know, was only at the time concerned about who my friends were at school and if they were gonna trade with me at lunchtime, our bracelets or whatever. Like it was really, I was really like not aware of the challenges that were faced. And that's not to say that there are not challenges in the global north. There definitely are. However, when I visited India, poverty is very visible, and you kind of see how it all connects. So after that trip, I came home feeling this sense of confusion, but also anger, and just like not understanding why someone my age, several people my age who also look like me on the other side of the world, do not have the same opportunities, basic opportunities to education as I do here in Canada. And I was like, this is not okay. I'd like to start something. I want to do something about this. And so I took this notebook that I had and I wrote about a charity idea that came to mind. I was like, I want to help all of the kids that I met in India, so that it wasn't just like one visit where I was able to, you know, help them. We donated like school supplies and things, which is a very like, it's not a sustainable kind of method to support people. And so I wanted to make sure that how we were helping was going to be sustainable and meaningful to the community as well. So I came up with this idea, but then, you know, at the time I was dealing with a lot of doubt, and I was like, what is a 12-year-old girl going to do about such a big problem such as education and equality? And I decided to just not do anything about it until the pandemic came in 2020, where I was very inspired by the work of frontline healthcare workers and so many people who were risking their own lives to support others, and even risking the lives of their family members or people that they were living with. And that kind of selflessness reminded me of the power I have to help people. And so I decided to start my organization, which is Project Power Global today. And it started very small as just me and some of my best friends doing just small projects, from, you know, like I said, school supply drives to like awareness projects. But eventually we decided that we wanted to make it more international and have a more international reach. And so we kind of grew our team, and now have team members from just about every continent of the world. And that kind of led me to being able to work with organizations like UNESCO in order to kind of voice the issues that we were hearing from the youth that we work with on the ground in different parts of the world. So that's a very high level of my story. But, you know, at the end of the day, these are the numbers that kind of drive our work. So 244 million youth as of 2024 are out of school, with 600 million children and adolescents unable to attain minimum proficiency levels in reading and mathematics, etc. And these are really basic, like, facts that I'm sure we all know, but if you actually take a second to think about it, these numbers are shocking, and they're quite literally heartbreaking as well. And so our goal at Project Power Global is to kind of try and work with other youth-led organizations to obviously get these numbers. Anything above zero is too much. So we're trying to work and foster partnerships in order to help get these numbers down. So that's what we do. And as I was saying, a key factor in our work is talking about how everything is very cyclical. So when, for example, my own family, my grandparents were lucky enough to go to school, but their parents were not. And it wasn't till their parents saw the value in education that there's the cycle of poverty that they were living in kind of ended. And so that's why I think the SDGs are really important to consider, because it's not that there's 17 separate goals. There are 17 goals that are very, very connected and need to be addressed in a holistic manner. And in order for us to start working on the Sustainable Development Goals, which were basically only 5 years till 2030 in January, and it's time for us to start seeing education as one of those factors that can kind of help us achieve all the other ones too, because no one's going to want to take action on climate change, for example, if they don't understand how necessary it is to actually do something about it, and how detrimental it could be if we didn't. Okay, so these are some things that I've kind of been told throughout my journey as well, working at my organization, which I know there's a lot of other young people on the call who are doing incredible things. And you maybe also heard some of these things too, like you're too young, or don't worry, someone else will, leave it to the adults. All of these things are common for us young advocates. And me personally, it took me a long time to kind of get over them and choose to not listen to them. So for anyone who struggled or constantly hears these things, just remember that these comments are only trying to stop you and are not really doing you any good. So from my perspective, it's important that we remember kind of the value we bring as youth to the table. So yeah, some key lessons that I've learned over the last 4 years since running my nonprofit is that small acts equals big change. I think a lot of the times we think that raising millions of dollars and doing really, really big projects are what is gonna help get change faster. However, I mean, that is obviously true, but what is also impactful is many small kind of acts. It's like random acts of kindness, for example. You never know how far those little acts will go. And so it's really easy to feel kind of helpless, especially in the world today, where we see so many cases of human rights violations from wars and ongoing genocides, conflicts. And I mean, at least for me, I sometimes think like I have no hope. I don't know where to look. But it's really important to remember that every single little step you do can actually make a difference. I've also learned that it takes a village. So for anyone who's working in the space, I'm always really, really keen to connect with other people, because change should not be, tried to be created alone. We need to work together. We all have very similar goals and hopes for the world. And so why not work together, So the other thing I wanted to talk about as well is that in the youth advocacy space, it's really, really hard to be seen as credible enough to participate in big summits. Like, for example, in 2022, I had the opportunity to go to the UN Transforming Education Summit, but it wasn't after hours of literally like trying to fight for my own seat at the table with members of like you know, the DESA, if you know what the UN like system is for handing out like passes. But it wasn't through really like fighting for myself to have a spot, and my team members and the youth that we were working with to be heard. You know, you can ask my family. It was mainly me sitting at my desk trying to, you know, make as many calls and emails and really try and say like, hey, this is important for young people to be there. And yeah, and I think that this is also something that needs to change. But that's a whole other conversation. So yeah, some other things that I've kind of worked on, which connect to my story as well, is connected to this bigger idea of using media, such as through like a documentary that I created to highlight the impact of education on communities that have been in poverty for a long time. Back in 2023, I filmed a documentary when I went back to India after that first trip, with organizations that we had created partnerships with. And the idea was that when I came back from my first trip to India and I was so inspired and I told people about what I had seen and why it's important for us to care, they didn't really understand. And so I was like, well, why don't you understand? And they're like, well, maybe we just need to see it for ourselves. And that's when I clicked and I was like, oh, maybe we need to use media and social media to kind of share these stories so that people can start to care and start to understand these issues that so many young people are dealing with. And aside from that, I also wrote a children's book, which is called Rocks to Ripples, kind of also explaining the ripple effect and how everything is connected, and also links back to like the small act equals big change. Yeah, I mean, I've already talked about the ripple effect a lot, so I'm going to skip this slide. So the last thing I wanted to leave you all with today is that we often say youth must have a seat at the table when discussing transforming education systems. So what does that actually look like? For anyone who's involved in, you know, getting young people in policy spaces, I'd say, number one, ask youth how, when, and where they see they can be involved. I think we often see a lot of people assuming where youth can be involved, but asking them is a really important step. And another thing is continue to support young people through funding, sharing opportunities, and mentorship. I'd like to add co-mentorship, which is something that I've done where I do have a mentor, but at the same time, we're kind of mentoring each other. And it's been a really, really transformational experience too. So that's all for today. I hope that these lessons that I've learned through my journey kind of have given you something, or maybe you can resonate with something. And, you know, I'd love to continue to hear your stories. So I wrote your turn to share. So if anyone would like to stay in touch or reach out to me about collaborations, I'll drop my email in the chat, and I really hope to hear from you all. Thank you so much for your time, and it was really an honor to speak today. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Arissa, for such a beautiful and inspiring story and all the good work that you're doing. Of course, if anybody has a question, please keep it. And at the end for the Q&A. And next, we would like to introduce Hassan. Hassan Chilewu Honore is a young leader, child and youth refugee advocate from the Democratic Republic of Congo, born and raised in Dzaleka refugee camp in Malawi. Hassan obtained his diploma in liberal studies, concentrating in social work online with Regis University in Colorado through Jesuit Worldwide Learning in 2021. Hassan is a former Global Youth Advisory Council delegate for United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, representing youth from Dzaleka refugee camp. Hassan is currently the national coordinator for Youth Advisory Panel for Plan for Plan International Malawi, a group of young people influencing and advocating for youth participation in policy and decision-making in the country under Plan International Malawi. YAP takes Youth Advisory Panel takes role of advising Plan International Malawi in their youth programming, and Hassan began his advocacy journey at the age of 15 when he joined Dzaleka Child Parliament, where he served as the speaker and later became a mentor and facilitator. Hassan is a poet and spoken word artist whose writings are meant to advocate, inspire, and inform. Hassan, it's an honor to have you today and super excited to hear from you, and I'll pass it to you.
Thank you so much, Divine, and the rest of the team. And, from the previous presenters, that was lovely. So before I start, allow me to share my screen. All right, so Dzaleka refugee camp is a camp that is found in Malawi. Malawi is a country in Africa. It's in the central part of Africa, and Dzaleka refugee camp is found in the center of the country itself, neighboring the capital city of the country. Excuse me, I have an issue with my network. Okay. So the overview of the whole presentation, I will be looking at the introduction to Dzaleka refugee camp. Dzaleka refugee camp as a place. We'll also be looking at the current situation that young people are facing in Dzaleka refugee camp. And then we'll also be looking at the vision future for young people in the Dzaleka refugee camp, the challenges that young people are facing, and the suggested recommendations. So we'll start with the introduction to Dzaleka refugee camp. Dzaleka refugee camp, like I said, is a designated refugee camp found in the central part of Malawi in Dowa district, with over 52,000 refugees and asylum seekers. So this place was basically meant for 12,000 people when it was being initiated, but it doesn't stop growing. It grows every year and every time. So people keep coming in because the wars keep breaking out from wherever the people are coming from. So it's still growing until now. It's 52,000+ and counting. The camp is comprised of 5 different nationalities: Democratic Republic of Congo, Burundi, Rwanda, Ethiopia, and people from Somali. The camp has a vast population of young people, which one third is made of young people and children in the refugee camp. The camp has 1 public secondary school, 1 primary school, and nursery school, with supporting private schools that people need to pay money for them to access. So the situation is critical in terms of education, in a way that the schools are limited and the people are just too many for the schools to accommodate everybody in the schools. So it's an issue that we'll be looking at as we go further. So these pictures depict several meanings. Young people in the camp are doing a lot of things, a lot of initiatives. Some of them are involved into advocacy, because we love to speak for ourselves. We don't want anybody speaking for us. So we'd rather do it on our own. So we have different kind of CBOs, community-based organizations, and youth groups, youth-led groups that are working into advocacy and leadership, including influencing. We also have other young people who are doing charity work, like, for example, the Dzaleka Youth in Action, which is also a group of young people working in trying to support the most vulnerable people in the refugee camp. Of course, everybody is vulnerable in the refugee camp, but we have people who are most vulnerable and they need support. So these people come together and then they contribute whatever they have from their own pocket so that they can at least buy sugar or buy soap for people who are most vulnerable, especially children. Also, young people in the refugee camp are involved in 2 different other initiatives like farming. Young people are doing permaculture. Permaculture is a type of farming that you do where you mix a lot of crops together and with lot of fruit trees together. And then when they're growing, they grow up healthy and with good nutrition to sustain people who are living with different chronic illnesses. When they eat such kind of food, such kind of fruits, it's like you're sustaining their lives even more. The current situation of the refugee camp and the issues that young people are facing. So there's high competition, like I said, in employment and education opportunities, despite the limited opportunities available. So we're not saying that there are no opportunities at all. The opportunities are there, but they are very, very, very minimal, very limited. Especially, let's begin with employment. As refugees in the refugee camp, we are not allowed to work as any other citizens of the country because of the laws of Malawi. And these laws, most of them bar us or they stop us from achieving what we want to achieve. Like, for example, there's the encampment policy. This is a policy that stops refugees from going outside the refugee camp. So we have to stay indoors. We have to stay in the Zelek refugee camp. So we cannot stay in the Zelek refugee camp with vast skills, vast experience, with different educational backgrounds and then just stay there. We will not do anything. So we're like wasting the opportunity that we got to be employed. Also on the education part, like I said in the introduction, we only have one public school on the secondary part, and then we have one on the primary part. And then the rest are private schools where people will need to pay. So for the private ones, people have to struggle for them to earn something for the living, and then they also have to struggle to earn something like to pay the school fees for the children who are in school. So it's an issue. If the parents don't have the means to pay for their children, that means the children will have to stay home and then never think about school anymore. So as a result, you find that most of them engage into malpractices, like especially young boys. You find them, they'll start smoking at a very young age because they do not have any occupations, nothing to do. All they do is they stay home all day and every day. So they feel like they just involve themselves into other bad gangs that do not do them any good. So it's an issue that we need to look up to. The second one is lack of strategies for personal growth and development. In the refugee camp, we have organizations implementing partners for UNHCR, United Nations United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, where it's working with different partners in the refugee camp, which those partners are helping in different initiatives in different corners. These organizations, they're helping indeed, but they're not helping at their full potential because they also don't have enough resources to help young people to give them the personal growth and development skills that they need. As we're growing up, as we're moving to transition level, we need to have those skills so that we should know how it feels to be an independent person and we should find our breakthrough, which is hard for young people in the refugee camp. Youths are also confused on how best to cope with issues that they're facing. Since our parents, most of them are traumatized, I would say that the trauma is being passed on to children. And the children will have to struggle with it because their parents are already traumatized. So for parents to care more about the children, it's something that they do, but they don't do it enough. Like they don't give their time enough to the children because they're also busy trying to find help, trying to find what the children are going to eat. So it's a crucial issue that these organizations are, of course, trying to help, but it's still an issue. Youths have lost communal trust since the community regards them as weak, immature, destructive, and unproductive beings. So in our community, there's people have different perspectives regarding the youth. So young people in the camp, they're regarded as the thieves, they're regarded as the gangsters, the smokers, the drunkards, and everyone. All negativities are all aligned to young people. Because the elders, they're not ready to accept that young people have the potential. They don't want to lose the opportunities that they have to young people. So instead, they would rather ruin the names of young people so that they can have these opportunities. So young people have lost this communal trust. On the other side, we'll be looking at, I would also want to tackle the SRHR part, sexual reproductive health and rights, where young people our parents do not accept, or they're not willing to accept that young people are really engaging themselves into sexual practices, which is also causing more harm to young people than good. Because young people, they would rather have sex without condoms, or they would rather have unprotected sex, because their parents do not accept that their children are really engaged into that. So if a parent sees their child going to get a condom at a hospital or at the clinic, it's not something good. The young person is probably gonna get into trouble at home. Another one is every youth is struggling with their purpose, potential, and destiny. Like I said, we have lost communal trust. Our community doesn't trust young people as the way they used to, or as the way they're supposed to. So it's demotivating to young people, and we are failing to find ourselves, like we're failing to find our path. Adults are not giving space to the young and fresh blood in leadership positions. In Zaleka refugee camp, we have leadership, which every community has their own leadership. But in all those communities, we do not have any young person leading. Of course, we have youth representatives, like for example, myself, I'm a youth advocate, a youth representative, but I have never been invited in any of those such kind of meetings, platforms where decisions are being made. It's an issue there, because young people need to have a voice on every table. The adults should not be making decisions for us. So we need to be there and we're not saying we want to be making the decisions, but we want to be part of the decision that is being made. Whatever plan is being made for young people, we want to be part of it, because whatever you discuss, it's going to end up to us, because we are the future and we are the now. So it's an issue. Lack of inclusive quality education, hence failing to complement SDG 4. This results to high competition in workplaces and other opportunities. The Sustainable Development Goal number 4 talks about quality education, which we do not have in Zaleka refugee camp. We lack spaces, good furniture, infrastructure. We do not have good resources, materials to use for our education purposes. So as a result, we do not have inclusive quality of education. Like for example, people living with disabilities, they do not have enough resources for them to be able to go to school. So as a result, such kind of people, if they do not have those such kind of resources, they stay home and then they live like that, which is we're not doing them any good. Sexual reproductive health and rights, which I already talked about. It's an issue, it's a current issue that young people are struggling with, because our community is not ready to accept that the contraceptives are good tools to be used, and young people should be able to use them. I'll go to the vision future for the youth. The youths in Malawi, in Zaleka to be specific, they want a better Malawi, favorable for all, despite the cultural differences, backgrounds, and statuses. Just because we are refugees, it doesn't mean that we do not want to enjoy. We do not want to live in a favorable and better Malawi. We are refugees, but now I am a Congolese. My parents are from DRC, but right now I'm not in DRC. I am in Malawi, in Zaleka refugee camp. So I should have the privilege that other young people in Malawi are getting, because I am in Malawi and I should enjoy what other people are enjoying in Malawi, despite me being a refugee, because I do not have anywhere else to go. I am in Malawi. I should get the privileges that other young people are getting. A better Malawi with a legal system whose constitutional aim is to observe human rights and legally promote and support the sense of value, purpose, significance, meaning, and the need for power in young people. So young people also want a better Malawi where the legal systems are favorable. Like I said at the beginning, the Constitution of Malawi has different laws, which those laws, they act to other young people, but they do not act to refugee young people. For example, there's an organization that offers loans in Malawi, but they do not consider young refugees because we are refugees, you know? That's something that is killing a lot of us because other young people out there, they're gaining these opportunities, and then they're getting these loans. They're being productive with their lives, but for us, we have to stay. And then just because we are refugees, we do not have anywhere to go and ask for such kind of loans, which these laws, they will need to be revised so that they can all act for the betterment of all young people in the country. More opportunities for youths to have a positive competition. So we want more opportunities for young people in the camp so that we should have a positive competition. If we are having a competition with a lot of people who have a lot of expertise, it's going to be a positive competition which will help young people to grow. Youths to be able to exercise their leadership and advocacy skills in government and non-governmental structures. So as youths in Dzaleka refugee camp, we also want to be taking part in the government and non-governmental structures. The decisions that are being made, because most of those decisions, when they're being made, they also reach to Dzaleka refugee camp and they reach to Dzaleka refugee young people. So if they're reaching to Dzaleka refugee young people, the Dzaleka refugee young people, they also need to be part of the decisions that are being made, part of the platforms, part of the leadership, you know, the structure itself. There should be at least one young refugee trying to speak about refugees. And then from there, I'll go to the challenges faced by young people. Of course, I'm not going to mention them all, but I'll just mention the main ones, which the first one I've spoken of it is the limited spaces in schools due to high population. Like I said, we have 52,000 and counting refugees, which in that population, the higher number is young people, children and young people, which most of them do not attend school because of the limited spaces. Limited employment opportunities after completion of school, high competition rate despite limited opportunities. We already have very limited opportunities, especially in employment, and we have high number of young people completing the education, especially the secondary level. So when they all complete, they want something to be, they all want to be doing something. So if they all want to be doing something, and then there, let's say, for example, we have 50 young people who are competing for 10 opportunities, it's not even balancing. Even when we look at the equality, we're not going to do anything. We're not going to make change. We're not going to make any step. Next will be poor parenting. Youths are not mentally prepared and equipped by their parents as they're transitioning to adulthood. So the poor parenting comes in because of the trauma that our parents have been passing through, or they have passed through, and they are still passing through. Most of them had so many resources in their homes, so many properties, but they left them. They left them due to war and other insecurities, which is still traumatizing their mind and up until now, and which is making them to be providing the poor parenting to young people and children in the camp, because they are mentally disturbed, and this also affects young people because it does not prepare them mentally or to be equipped as they are transitioning to adulthood. So we always mess up because we do not get the best preparation. Youths are undermined and underrated, and for that they are labeled as untrustworthy. So since we are undermined and underrated, that we cannot do anything aside from being gangsters, smoking and drinking, maybe impregnating. So we're not trusted in our community, like I said in the beginning. So we've lost that communal trust. Only a few of us are trusted, but it's still not enough as we're advocating for young people in our communities. Lack of technical and financial support is holding a lot of youths back. Like I said, we have so many organizations operating in the camp, which some of them, they help young people. Let me not say some of them, but one is the one that is more dedicated to helping young people, which is Plan International Malawi. And Plan International Malawi on its own cannot be able to help all young people in Dzaleka refugee camp. As a result, it's like it's falling back, it's falling behind, because every year we hear there's budget cuts among the organizations that are working in the camp, which is also affecting us as young people. So we do not have the technical and financial support that we need for us to be able to achieve what we want to achieve. The laws restricting refugee movement and work permits, like I said in the beginning, these are laws that restrict us from going outside the camp, unless if I'm going illegally. And the work permits, I do not have a work permit, so I just have to work as a volunteer and get stipends, which those stipends do not sustain me for the month. We also have high rate of teenage pregnancies, hence causing a high rate of school dropouts. This is because most young people do not have occupations. They do not have anything to do. They do not go to school because they do not have space in school. Some of us were lucky, we were able to get space and then did our school finished, but the rest of, the others who are back home, they do not have that space. So the schools are very limited. Hence, since they do not have anything to do, they do not attend school, they stay home, and then you can imagine when two genders meet all day, every day, it's always gonna be a mess. Religious and cultural beliefs, these are also things that are holding a lot of young people back. It's challenging because our religions have their own beliefs, our cultures also have their own beliefs, and young people, they would want to explore themselves, they would want to live a life that they do not want to be commanded or to be guided, Young people want to explore, but these religions and cultures, they're holding a lot of young people back. And lastly, I would be talking about the recommendations that we as young people from Dzaleka would want to recommend for such kind of challenges to be tackled. Young people in Dzaleka would want more employment opportunities to support young people that have completed their education. If we have more opportunities, we would have less cases, less negativities in our community at Dzaleka refugee camp, because everybody will be busy searching for money, searching for greener pastures, because they know I have so many opportunities and I'm not going to mess up. Young people would also ask for more scholarship opportunities where they can go outside and then get the quality of education that they need, inclusive quality of education, because we deserve it too. We deserve the quality of education as everyone else is getting outside there. Malawian laws working for refugees to be revised, since most of them were made a long time ago. Most of these laws were made back in the 90s. Some of us were not even born. They're acting now, which the world is evolving. So let's evolve with it. Let's move with the change that is coming. So the laws need to be revised. Technical colleges to accommodate young people who did not have the opportunity to for tertiary education. Of course, we have one organization just outside the camp, a few steps outside the camp, which is offering technical education, technical tertiary education to young people who do not have the means to go to university or colleges, like real good colleges, so that at least they should not waste time sitting home, but they should learn certain skills that will help them to, at least, if they're not going to get a job from it, at least they can create a job from it. And reaching this far, I would like to take my leave. Thank you so much. This is Dzaleka, the home of talents, commitment, and skills. Thank you.
Suzanne, are you ready to begin Q&A? You might be on mute if you're trying to speak.
Yes, thank you so much, Hassan. That was really, really an incredible presentation, and thank you so much to everyone else. Just wanted to see if anybody has any questions they want to ask. You can either put them in the chat or just speak out now. If not, I have a few questions. Great. Okay, it looks like Reed has a question. Hassan, is the lack of access to education more about money or the lack of political will? And does leadership in the camp realize what a serious problem this is? Did you speak to that?
Yeah, the leadership of the camp are aware of it, especially if we're talking about the community leaders, they are aware, but they do not have a solution to that. So as a result, they send it forward to organizations working in the camp. For example, UNHCR with its implementing partners. These implementing partners include GRS, which now, of course, it was in charge of education, but now we have a new organization working into that. But the response is always one, to say they do not have enough resources to accommodate everybody and to build more schools to accommodate everyone.
Thank you for that. And I have just one question, if anyone wants to take it. Would just love to know what you all think is something that as youth leaders or working with youth leaders, they can do better than other folks. Like, what is the strongest asset of youth leaders speaking out? Arissa, you want to take this one?
Sure. I mean, I'd love to hear from the other speakers too. But I'd say when it comes to education, what's really key is that, especially with young people, like, I mean, I know there's like lifelong learning is a thing, and several other age groups are also attending school, and learning also doesn't happen just at school. But I think that young people offer a different perspective than maybe some other age groups, because we are currently going through a lot of those like systems of education. For example, I'm still in high school. And so I understand firsthand like the challenges that are present today. I also think that, and maybe I'm a bit biased being Gen Z, but I think that we are really good at connecting together, especially because we're the generation of social media, and like how, you know, we kind of know how to find people and, you know, kind of formulate different solutions together, which is, in my opinion, the only way forward in a lot of these cases. So yeah, I feel like in that sense we bring a different type of energy, like a team spirit energy, to tackling a lot of these problems.
That's great. I love that. Does anyone else on the call have a question?
Yeah, I have one. Thank you for that response, Arissa. So this is also to all of the speakers. I was wondering, can you share any recent successes or lessons learned from your youth engagement / advocacy efforts? So anything that you've learned recently, we would really like to know.
Could you please repeat the question?
Yes, I can. I also put it in the chat as well. Can you share any recent successes or lessons learned from your youth engagement / advocacy efforts?
If you don't have any successes at the top of your head, I'd also love to know if there are any challenges or barriers that you see that youth advocates have to deal with that others might not.
I would speak.
Please.
Okay, so I'm not just going to speak on behalf of Zeleka youths, but I'll speak on young people in Malawi, what I know. As the national coordinator for Youth Advisory Panel is a panel, or it's a group of young people operating in different districts in the country. So it's a mix of refugees and the host community, young people from the host community. So I would say young people have potential in doing what other people are not able to do. Like, for example, young people do different consultations before they go for something, before they go and ask for change. So they consult fellow young people in the country, everywhere in the country, in all corners of the country. So when they consult young people, that's already a strength. It's power. So that we believe in the power that young people have. So when we consult young people all over the country, that's when now we can be able to advocate for something. But in the end, the response is always one. We do not have the resources. On the other hand, young people are doing a lot of things. Like, for example, like I said, in farming, young people are doing farming, which is also a success. In my community, people do not believe that young people can really do farming. You know, they do not believe in that, but young people are doing it because they want to prove them wrong. It's also another success. Young people in my country, in the refugee camp, are doing are involved in a lot of advocacy platforms. For example, we have Zaleka Children's Parliament, where most of us grew up in. It's young people, children from Zaleka refugee camp, which are going on the district level and in the national level to be able to advocate for the issues that children are facing in Zaleka refugee camp, so that the government of Malawi should hear it and then should be able to act on it. The government sometimes responds, but they respond with a very, very high delay. So they take a long time for them to respond, which some things they will need immediate response, but we do not get the immediate response. So there's a lot of success that if we start mentioning now, even on the leadership part, young people have shown the capacity that they have to lead others. Because if you are to lead certain people, the most struggle you find is leading young people. But young people themselves are able to lead themselves. Like, for example, here I'm leading a whole group of young people in the whole country, which is a success. So yeah, the adults should be able to believe in us and should give us these spaces. We can prove them wrong.
That's great. Thank you so much. And thank you so much to all of our presenters. Unfortunately, we're out of time for questions. So we will transition a bit to just a few updates from GCE-US, but please, we'll share questions with all the speakers. And if the speakers don't mind sharing their contact information, please do so in the chat and we can all have that. So thank you so much. I'll just give a couple quick updates on the legislation and policy front for GCE-US. So my name is Suzanne Berman and I do our advocacy work. And we have two main pieces of work that we're focusing on right now. One is the appropriations process, which is the money that Congress gives to international development programs. And specifically, we focus on a line item in the federal budget that is called basic education and funds our overseas work and education. And then we're also working on the READ Act, which is a piece of legislation you've heard about before that oversees the actual strategy for US education and has some great accountability and transparency components. So on the READ Act front, I'll start there. We've been working all year to get the reauthorization passed. So just extending the bill another 5 years. We're almost there. We've gotten it passed in the Senate, which happened last winter, and then we got it through the House Committee in Foreign Affairs. So the next step is to get the full House to pass it, hopefully without any changes, so it can go straight to the president's desk to be made into law. So we're still working with Republican leadership in the House to try to make sure it gets to the floor. There's no pushback on the bill. It's just a matter of getting attention during an election year with a lot going on politically. So focusing on that, if you want to hear more information, please contact me. I'll put my email in the chat. And then on the funding side, this is always a fun year-long process. We have seen numbers for the House on the State and Foreign Operations Bill, which oversees the State Department and USAID's budgets, as well as a few other pieces of international programming. The numbers are low this year, which is not a surprise, just given some of the fiscal constraints. The top line number for all of these programs was lower than we'd like it to be. And then we also saw a cut to the basic education line item. This would be for the fiscal year that would start in October. It was at 922 million, with about 122 million going to the Global Partnership for Education and about 30 million going to Education Cannot Wait for Education in Emergencies. It's about a 50 million cut from last year. On the Senate, they've given their top line numbers that haven't been broken down into different programs yet. They're a big cut there too, but we haven't seen the final numbers. So still waiting to see. We'll still be fighting the good fight. If you would like to get involved, please email me. I'll put my email in the chat. And then we have just a couple minutes left. And I know Neggaz has some announcements she wants to make. So I will turn it over to her.
Okay. I just want to say, wow, what an incredible presentation. Well, it's morning here for us, wherever you might be, morning, afternoon. I really want to extend a very big thank you to all of our wonderful speakers for their really strong, fantastic presentations during this July Coalition meeting. We would like to encourage everyone to continue these vital conversations and advocate for global education. Specifically, we would like you to keep an eye out for our RSVP for the August coalition meeting. Also, please do not hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. You already have the GCE-US contacts, and as Suzanne just pointed out, we are going to make sure that you have follow-up information in case you would like to engage the speakers a little bit more. Throughout the rest of this month, we encourage you to please reach out to members of Congress, urging support for the Read Reauthorization Act that Suzanne just talked about, and for full global education funding. So your advocacy and your activity matters. So please do reach out to Congress about the READ Act, the Read Reauthorization Act. And then please let us know if you have any announcements to share for that's happening now and for any other upcoming opportunities. Please do contact us at info@gce-us.org with any updates, speaker, or topic ideas. Lastly, we want to share that we are close to making a big announcement. Essentially, we have selected a wonderful executive director for GCE-US, but we are finalizing a few things before officially sharing the news. So please keep an eye out for a press release and an email update. And with that, I want to thank you so much for your participation, both speakers and presenters. So thank you and have a good rest of your morning or afternoon or evening, wherever you might be. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.